Hello and welcome. I am starting a new series playing Cine2Nerdle. I absolutely love this game. I've been playing it all the time. And when I find a game that I'm this invested in, typically I go to YouTube and I find a content creator who's playing the game at a high skill level and try to learn what I can to increase my own skill. But what I found is there's not a lot of dedicated content to this game at the moment. So I figured I would start my own series playing the game and showing you what I've implemented to get my rating where it is now. Now, I'll say I am not the biggest movie buff in the world. I actually figured when I started playing this game that my skill rating would probably cap out somewhere around 1500 or so. But as it turns out, just implementing some strategies and getting a base memory of a lot of popular movies will get you pretty far in this game. I currently set at 24, 23 rating, which is way bigger than I ever imagined. I thought anybody who was at like a rating of 2000 was just like a movie super genius, but alas, here we are. Now, what I want to do for this series is I'm actually going to create a brand new account starting back at rating 1000 and show the journey going from 1000 to 2000. And I'll specifically be playing the Phillip Seymour Hoffman win condition. Now, with a series like this, I think there could be some concerns. Specifically, isn't this just smurfing? And smurfing is just creating a lower level account to be match made against lower level players to have an advantage over them. And the honest truth is, technically, it is smurfing. But what I would counter to that is even at the rating that I'm at in this game, I often find myself being match made against lower skill rated players just due to the way the matchmaking works and the amount of players who are playing the game. So I think people playing higher skill rated players is somewhat unavoidable. But I also think it's important to see what the opponents are playing through all the skill ranges. So if you're at rating 1200, you're probably going to be getting different movies from your opponent compared to somebody who's rated 2000 and above. And I just want to show you different options that you can play at your skill rating. So I've said a lot. I'm going to go ahead and create my brand new account and we'll jump in and actually start playing the game. All right, I have created my brand new account, Seymour Hoffman, and we're just about ready to dive in and start playing. But first, I need to go ahead and build my kit that I will be using for this. Now, for those of you who may be new to the game and aren't fully sure of what all of these items are doing in a kit, I'll go through at the end of the video and explain what all of these things do. But for those of you that are already aware, I just want to go ahead and jump in and start playing so that we can actually get this going. So for a win condition, of course, I'm going to select Philip Seymour Hoffman. For a lifeline, what I like to do is I add a few blocks, a couple casts, and 3 skips. Okay. The last thing that I'm going to add is the key item of Wilson Volleyball here. And I am going to save that. And I think we are good to go. Now, what I thought is there's some way to designate. Here we go. I want this to be my default kit, so I don't have to change it when we start the game. Perfect. So I want to, as we go through different ratings, give some different tips because I'm specifically playing the Philip Seymour Hoffman win condition, but I think the strategies used here could really be used for all of the win conditions. So when starting out in a new win condition that you're trying to figure out, one thing that I recommend is just start by taking actors that you see come up a lot in your games and looking up and finding what the connection is to the win condition. Now, that seems like an obvious tip, of course. But what I don't think people should be doing is going through, let's say, like for Philip Seymour Hoffman, and going through their entire IMDb and trying to memorize everything, because I think it's going to be very difficult to retain. So, what I typically do is I would play a game, see what actors came up, then research and see what connections there were from there. So I'll show you more information on that. But let's go ahead. Let's jump in. Stop talking. Let's play the game. I'm going to ready up here. We're in the Hoffman kit. Perfect. All right. Now, I'm going to try to go slow here. Um, Luckily, my opponent doesn't have any blocks, so the only clock that I have is just the timer that's going here. So I'll kind of explain my thought process as we're playing here. So if I'm looking at this movie that I got, the really only names that stand out to me are Mel Gibson, but also this Timothy Spall. I'm going to go ahead and play Alice in Wonderland. Um, the reason I do this is there is a Danny Elfman connection to Philip Seymour Hoffman. And if you can play Tim Burton movies, you can just about guarantee that Danny Elfman had done the music for it. So, but doesn't look like they bit into that. So they played another one. So I'm going to try to keep them back in there. I'm going to play the sequel, Through the Looking Glass. And let's see if we can get them to play a Tim Burton movie here. We're specifically looking for a connection. Okay, but they don't. So a good one here. A lot of the Harry Potter movies, all of them are actually going to have a connection. There's a few different ones that you can use, but specifically for this one, I'm going to play The Big Lebowski. So that has a connection through David Thewlis, I think is how you pronounce it. I can't remember their name in Harry Potter, but they played the werewolf in that werewolf character. So they actually send me back to Harry Potter again, which is dangerous because all of the Harry Potter movies have a connection to Philip Seymour Hoffman. So another one that you can do that I will do now is Hagrid. His name is Robbie Coltrane, so I'm going to play. There's a couple of them, but Montana. If I play that, we have a connection. So as we can see here, in order for me to win the game, I need to get 4 Philip Seymour Hoffman movies. If I play that, then I win. Now, because I selected when I was building my kit the Wilson volleyball, I actually started out with one of these already. So that's already taken care of. So really, I just need to play 3 to win the game. So we'll see if they know. And they play the Hunger Games, which is unfortunate because for them, because Philip Seymour Hoffman is in all of the Hunger Games movies after the original one. So I'm actually going to go ahead and play the sequel here, the Catching Fire, and we win. First game already done. Um, Now, Hunger Games is a big one. You're going to see a lot of people know that connection, and they're going to want to try to play that, especially if they're playing science fiction movies. You're going to see that a lot. So we have to be a little bit careful. I'll see if we get into a situation where we need to implement a little bit of strategy in order to get out of this Hunger Games trap. So, but let's just go ahead and keep rolling. We're going to go to the next one here. So we played this guest account. What I believe I have read on this is whenever there's an account that has this capital G guest, it's actually a bot. All players' names will always be all lowercase, but if you ever see an account with this capital G, it is not a human playing. I'm not sure how they've programmed it to actually play. But it's our turn here. Let's go ahead and jump into it. Amy Adams has 3 different connections with Philip Seymour Hoffman, so I always try to play Amy Adams movies. So one I'm going to do here is Julia and Julia. Now, I like to do this one because it has Amy Adams in it, but also Meryl Streep, and there's a connection to Philip Seymour Hoffman through Meryl Streep. So we get a rival. We've hit round 4. I can actually earn a tick here. You're not able to actually add anything to your win condition until after round 4. But so let's go ahead and play the first connection. I always do this one first because most people are familiar with this connection of Amy Adams and Philip Seymour Hoffman, and that's the Master. There are 2 other ones, but I always knock this one out first just so that people think that they're done with Amy Adams and they can play another Amy Adams movie. And then I can hit them with the surprise of getting another tick on my win condition. So we'll see what the bot decides to do here. And maybe it's not a bot because it's playing a wrong movie. I don't know. Maybe it's not. I think these accounts also may be anybody who hasn't created an account. I think you can just play the game without having an account created. And if you do that, it also gives you this guest account. So maybe that's what's going on. But they fell into the trap here. They played another Amy Adams movie. So we have a couple options. I'm going to go ahead and play Doubt. So that's also the Meryl Streep connection that I mentioned earlier. So anytime a Meryl Streep connection comes up, you can play Doubt. There's not a lot of people in this movie. The big names are, Meryl Streep, Phillip Seymour Hoffman, and Amy Adams. So I played this one because I can kind of get a little bit of sense of what's going to come next. And I would assume they're probably either going to play a Phillip Seymour Hoffman movie, of course, or a Meryl Streep. And they actually just forfeited the game. All right. We ended there. So we'll see if we get Doubt again, what I like to play if they play Meryl Streep. But let's go ahead and keep going here. One thing that we will probably see a lot in this series is me going down very similar paths of movies, of playing the same things over and over. So Zootopia, we have, I'm going to butcher this name, Michael Giacchino. But I like Jason Bateman. I'm running out of time here, so I'm going to go ahead and play. I like to play Game Night. There's a couple Philip Seymour Hoffman connections in this movie, so I go here. But the composer that was listed here, there's also a connection there. So if you know a lot of their movies, you can keep playing that. But I know this composer famously from Lost. That's one of my favorite shows. I think they were the composer for that. But they have a lot of movies as well. Okay, so they play Tropic Thunder. We have a lot of connections here. So Tom Cruise is in this, who has Philip Seymour Hoffman connections. Jason Bateman has one. Ben Stiller has one. So I think what I would like to do is I like to play Bad Words when I can. And this is another movie that doesn't have a lot of actors in it, but it has two connections to Philip Seymour Hoffman. A lot of people don't know who is in this movie, and they just see Jason Bateman on the cover here, so they play another one. And if that's what we see, and they do, so they've blocked me. Now, whenever we get a block and a rush, it means I can't play anything towards my win condition. So I'm going to play Meet the Parents in this situation. I'm just going to get out. Now, I have connections through Ben Stiller and Robert De Niro, but they play the Ben Stiller connection. Alec Baldwin is in this movie, so when this does happen, I like to play an Alec Baldwin movie. And this is actually the movie I was going to mention after if they played another Meryl Streep movie when we saw Doubt, and that was It's Complicated. It's Complicated has a lot of connections. There's a lot of people in this movie who have a connection to Philip Seymour Hoffman. So it's a little dangerous for them to play something here. So we'll see what they do. So they play Steve Martin, and that is one of the people we have a connection. It is Leap of Faith. So we get another tick towards our win condition here. We just need two more to win the game. Our opponent is playing crime, so we want to do our best to avoid that. But okay, they have played Hunger Games. I'm going to show you my Hunger Games trap. They've rushed me. I'm going to play Passengers here and put a block. When you're playing, and the block is really only necessary if you're playing against the sci-fi connection. I'll show you that. But I like to play Passengers here because, again, there's not a lot of people in this movie, and a lot of them have connections to Philip Seymour Hoffman. And a lot of people forget that Chris Pratt has a connection, but he actually has two connections. So they're just going to keep playing the Hunger Games movies. They're not getting a win condition off of it, so it doesn't bother me. I don't care. But I'm going to show another trap is when we get to Jennifer Lawrence and there's two ticks here, I play Winter's Bone. A lot of people don't know who is in this movie, and a lot of times they skip and send it back. And the only connection that I'm aware of with this one, I'm sure there's others. I guarantee there's others. But the one that I always play is Twin Peaks, Fire Walk With Me via Sheryl Lee. And that has some good work, and they're going to give me the chance here to play it. So we'll play Twin Peaks, Fire Walk With Me. Heather Graham is in this movie, which has a connection, but they keep it on David Lynch. So, what should we do here? I'm going to try something here. I'm going to play Eraserhead. Now, we actually have a connection for Eraserhead to a Phillip Seymour Hoffman movie, actually, a couple of them. But of course, they're going to play something here. Now, let me see if this actually connects. I think we have something here. Yes. So, one of the reasons why I like to go down the path of David Lynch is because of Angelo Badalamenti. He has this elite quartet. It has Philip Seymour Hoffman in it. So a lot of David Lynch movies have Angelo as a composer. Um, all right, so now we have another circumstance here where it's a very common path we get into. A lot of people are aware of Moneyball. There's a couple good movies to pivot off of here, but one I like to start with is Cyrus. And this one has John C. Reilly, who has a connection. Marissa Tomei has a connection. Jonah Hill has a connection. Catherine Keener has a connection. So this is another one. There is a couple outs here, and they may actually just be giving up. They said GG here, but this one is tough for people to get out of. They hit me with some lines there. You know, they're not too happy about that game, but we're gonna keep on going anyways. So we didn't get to see what happens after Cyrus, but I guarantee you we will be playing that movie a lot. It'll be one of our big connections for Philip Seymour Hoffman. So we'll wait for this next one to connect here. We'll wait for them to ready up. I don't think that was the person we played last time. I can't recall. Something with this game I've noticed is if you beat somebody, I think it is actually the same person we played, although they are doing action comedy. Anyways, we get Donnie Darko. Not a lot of good connections through this one, to be honest. What I typically do is play Love and Other Drugs. James Newton Howard. This is going to be a name to get familiar with. They're a composer. They do all the Hunger Games movies, so we've seen that's a solid connection. But they play Along Came Polly here to block that connection from us. So what I would like to do is just go back to what we did last time that happened and play It's Complicated. Last time our opponent played Steve Martin off of this one, and we played Leap of Faith to get the connection. So we'll see what they do. They play Meryl Streep, so we get to go and play Doubt. Play our connection there. Now our opponent only has one block, so if we can get them to use that block, then we know we are good. And again, we're going back through these similar lines. We're going to see this a lot. So they play Moneyball. I play Cyrus. It's really a instinctual reaction there. So they tried to play their own band connection through Wolf of Wall Street. I'm not sure what that was about. I'm not sure why people. I know there are some strategies there, but okay, we got them to use that block. So we can't play our other Jonah Hill connection. So what do we do here? Well, we have a few different options. I think I'm just going to do this. Is a little. I hate to do this because I more want to win the game through. Although I may have just put myself into a trap here. This one I'm not really aware of any connection through. Forgot to check. They have a skip. So if they skip, I might be in trouble here. Let's hope maybe they know a connection, and they don't. So I'm going to use my cast here. They've rushed me. Sam Rockwell. Good. Wasn't aware of that. So I'm going to play Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. There's a few connections in this movie. We actually got to use one of our lifelines that we set up here. So always good to have that cast one to be able to just see. I like to have a couple of those. Now, my personal opinion is I like to save the cast for when I am able to get a tick on my win condition. I'll explain that in just a second. Now, we have Iron Man. I think there's a couple options through here. But one big one in this one, if you've seen the Iron Man movies, is Gwyneth Paltrow is in it. She's also in The Talented Mr. Ripley. So Gwyneth Paltrow is in a couple Philip Seymour Hoffman movies. So there's one. So if they play another Gwyneth Paltrow movie, we can get that last win condition ticked off. But again, so back to the cast. Um, it's not a hard rule, but I just prefer to save it until I know I can get a win condition. So especially after all their blocks are used, I can see it. I can see the cast and play my condition. So I'm going to play Passengers. That's my, again, sort of path I play after the Hunger Games movies. Um, Hoping they may play a Chris Pratt movie, not knowing what the connection is. But again, they want to go through this line. So here we are again. I said after we get a couple Hunger Games movies with Jennifer Lawrence ticked off, we go back to Winter's Bone, and we'll see if we can get them in the David Lynch path again and wrap it up here. So they're going to use their cast, see if they know any connections. Let's see if they know Cheryl Lee. Get that connection. I'm curious. I don't know if I've ever checked the cast for this to see who else is in it. I've always just known Cheryl Lee. Just I think I was playing a game and somebody had made that connection once. But people will often use this against me as well. They think that there's no connection through Winter's Bone, and they want to hit that last Jennifer Lawrence connection. And it looks like they're just giving up. Fortunately, okay. I think this is the same person because they hit me with that same line. They hit me with the "Hi, I'm Tony." I don't understand that, so maybe that is their real name. Who knows? But anyways, another one down. I'll probably stop this one once I get to about 1100. So we probably have a couple more matches here until this one is done. All right, we'll see what they play. I'm a big fan of going down some Nicole Kidman routes. We have some good options with her. Now, I think this is the first time we've seen somebody play science fiction. I think at a higher level, a lot of people are playing science fiction. And that becomes a little complicated when we get to Hunger Games movies because those are all science fiction. So I use that Passengers movie, but I'll show you. I assume we'll get there. But anyway, so we have Nicole Kidman and Aaron Sorkin who we have connections through. I'll stick with Nicole Kidman. I'll go Stepford Wives. That's a science fiction movie, so keep it away from them. But Matthew Broderick is also in this movie who has a connection as well. So I'm always trying to play movies. I think that's a big tip, and I'll discuss this more in depth. But trying to play movies that have at least two connections if I can. Dogville. This is one I didn't learn until recently. This is one of those more niche ones that I found later. But Philip Baker Hall is in this one. So I'm going to start off. I'm just going to play hard 8. Now, Philip Baker Hall, the way I always remember him is if you ever saw Seinfeld, there was the Bookman detective where Jerry had checked the book out from the library and the Bookman guy came to his apartment. That's Philip Baker Hall, and he's in a lot of Philip Seymour Hoffman movies. So, yes, they play Hunger Games here, so I'm going to go Passengers, but it's really important that we have a block ready to go and play that. This means they're not able to play a science fiction movie, and they can't just go back and forth between the Hunger Games movies. If you don't have a block and you get here, it can get very dangerous because most of the cast is in all of the movies. So you'll go through Jennifer Lawrence, and then you'll have to play a movie with somebody else, but then they can come back and play another Hunger Games movie because that cast member is in it. So you'll go back and forth a lot. So we get Moneyball again. So, of course, I'm going to go down my normal path, and that is of Cyrus. See if we can play this second Jonah Hill connection. We haven't been able to play it yet. They've hit a block on us every time. So Jonah Hill is in Megamind and The Watch, which are two science fiction movies. So we see that one a lot. So they probably will play a Jonah Hill movie. Maybe one of those. But okay, they go 21 Jump Street. So I will play Invention of Lying. So Jonah Hill has Invention of Lying and Moneyball. And if you're just starting and you are playing Philip Seymour Hoffman, those are going to be two movies that I would learn and put it in your repertoire pretty early because you're going to see opportunities to play these a lot. Invention of Lying has a pretty big cast. Moneyball has some good people. You see Brad Pitt is played a lot, so definitely opportunities to play that. So we get Daredevil. I'm not really, aware of any other good movies via Jennifer Gardner, but what we can do is Ben Affleck is in Daredevil, and one movie. This is sometimes a risk, but I go Goodwill Hunting. Matt Damon, Robin Williams have a connection, but also Danny Elfman did the music for this. Surprisingly, a non Tim Burton movie, and we can trip people up there sometimes as well. But they go Matt Damon, and we play our talented Mr. Ripley to finish this one out. So we're getting close. Probably have about one more game until we cross over into 1100. I will ready up here, and we'll get into this hopefully last game. All right, so I'd love for them to stick with Jason Bateman here. Now, Jason Bateman is also, I don't know if we got to play it before, but he is also in Invention of Lying that we just played with Jonah Hill. So that is one of the reasons I like to keep him. But we don't. We get Whiplash. So with this, there's a couple options that I could do. I think what I'm going to do here. So J.K. Simmons is in the Tomorrow War with Chris Pratt, and Chris Pratt has a couple connections to Philip Seymour Hoffman. But I'm also taking away science fiction because they're playing science fiction. This is a common one people play when Chris Pratt comes up. So I'm hoping they're just going to play a random Chris Pratt and they play Moneyball. So we get Moneyball. I play Cyrus. Now there is a couple circumstances in which I wouldn't play Cyrus here, and this will get to when we get to a little bit more advanced strategy. We'll see. But if none of these actors who are in this if they still have room to be played, then I always say let's just go ahead and play it. So they play hard 8. What I'm going to do here, I'm going to go, I'll keep it simple. I'll just go, oh, not Fargo. Let's do Mystery Men, was my initial thought. This is a weird connection, but we have Ben Stiller through Along Came Polly, which they block me. But we have Jonah Hill here. Where did we leave off? We had one with Jonah Hill. So, unfortunately, there's not a lot of good options. So, I'm just going to go ahead and play something. My typical rule of thumb is to try to avoid playing a movie that will get you in this second X zone. This is a good piece of strategy here that I'm breaking, just to keep things simple. Now, the reason you want to really avoid this zone is because they can play a very obscure Jonah Hill or Ben Stiller movie that I have no idea who is in, and I'm stuck. So they play Mean Girls that has Tina Fey, but it also has Rachel McAdams. So we're going to go ahead and play the Rachel McAdams connection because this connection comes up quite a bit as well. It's called A Most Wanted Man. So we get that on the board. That's the only connection for Rachel McAdams. But another big name in this movie of why this is a good movie to remember is Willem Dafoe. A lot of Willem Dafoe opportunities will come up, so knowing A Most Wanted Man for Philip Seymour Hoffman is always a good one. But, of course, they play science fiction, so they're probably playing Hunger Games, and here we are. So we are going to go back down my line of Passengers, but I got to throw on my block because they have science fiction, and I don't want to just get stuck in this back and forth Hunger Games world. So I'm going to put up the block here. We'll see what we do. That now we have 2 connections for Chris Pratt. Now they played one of them. It was Moneyball. So hopefully, they play another Chris Pratt movie. So we'll see this one come up. We haven't seen it yet. It is Strangers with Candy. A lot of people don't know Chris Pratt was in this. So you can This is another one you can get a lot of sneak attacks on. People don't put blocks on because they're not aware of this connection. So it's always a good one to have in your back pocket. But this was also one that I found much later on. Wasn't aware of this one for quite a while. So we'll see if they try to put me in a Chris Pratt. But I think they give up. All right, we have crossed 1100. So I'm going to go ahead and stop this series here for at least playing the game. But I want to show you one additional resource that will help a lot of your games. So I'm going to get that set up and I'll be right back. All right. I have pulled up IMDb here. This is a tool that they have on IMDb that really helped me starting out. And this is applicable for all win conditions. If you're playing ones, especially with actors, I think this is really only for actors. What you can do is there's a collaboration search, advanced collaboration search. If you search that for IMDb, you can type in two actors and it will tell you all of their connections. So if I do Chris Pratt and name two Phillip Seymour Hoffman, do see results, we see that Moneyball and Strangers with Candy come up. Now it's going to show you some TV appearances that may have crossed over, but you can change title type to movie, and that will reduce that to only the movies that they're in. So what I recommend is whenever you're playing an actor win condition is to just start playing the game, see what actors are coming up quite often. And when you're done, when you finish the game, come to IMDb and search, is there a connection with this actor that I wasn't previously aware of? You can go through those two options, put it in there, and it will tell you what connections they have. And study that one. And really what I did is just try to memorize like 3 or 4 connections at a time. Don't try to overload yourself with too much. Just try to make those connections. And once you feel comfortable with those, repeat the process. Go back through your games, review who's a big actor that keeps coming up in a lot of my games. Let me see if there's a connection. So if I go back to collaborations, let's say, man, there's a lot of Adam Sandler movies being played. If I check Adam Sandler, like, do they have a connection to Phillip Seymour Hoffman? Do you see results? And Punch Drunk Love, of course, is a connection here. So I can do movie here, and we see that. So this, I think, is quite a valuable resource. Now, this is, I know, a very long video. What I am going to do now is review my kit. If you're not interested in that, I will see you in the next video. We'll be starting 1200. But for those of you who maybe aren't familiar with the kits or what all these powers are that we're playing and what do they do, I'm going to just do a quick breakdown of all of that so that we'll have a little bit more of an understanding as we continue to play throughout the series. So I think I discussed my win condition. So if I make 4 connections to Phillip Seymour Hoffman, then I automatically win the game and it's over. One of the lifelines I have here is called Cast. If I click that, it shows me, expands the movie out, and you can see who the director, the writers, the cinematographers, the composers, and a few of the top billed actors are in it to help you make a connection. I use this when I really get stuck and I don't know who's in it. We have skips here. So this is basically just, if I play a skip, it's just going to give my opponent the same movie they just played, and now they have to make a connection. So it's very helpful if people try to get you into a corner and there's one connection left and they play it and it's a really obscure movie who has actors nobody's ever heard of. You can play the skip and now they're forced to make a connection, and if they can't, they lose. So that is skip. It's also important to note that if I skip somebody, they can't just skip back and it come back to me. It does not allow them to skip. So they are required to play it. There is another lifeline that would allow them to escape out of it and just generate another random movie, but they cannot skip back. And then finally, we have for lifelines block. So that just means that my win condition is Phillip Seymour Hoffman. So if somebody played a block on me, then I am not allowed to play a Phillip Seymour Hoffman movie. And of course, I showed this is very helpful when we're playing against science fiction win conditions to block them from Hunger Games. But also, I just save them up as long as I can because if it gets to the end of the game and they only have one more connection left, I'm going to start playing those blocks to try to buy me some time so that I can try to finish out my win condition before they finish theirs. And then the last item we have is Wilson Volleyball. And that is what allows it to, instead of having to make 4 connections for Phillip Seymour Hoffman, we only have to do 3. It just goes ahead and gives you a tick. Now, it's a pretty powerful ability, and what they've done is, in order to counter that, is they do not allow you to play that escape lifeline that I mentioned. You are prevented from using that, so I'm not allowed to equip that escape lifeline, but hopefully through the skips that we have and being able to have these cast, I can get out of most situations, but it really relies upon using that strategy I mentioned of trying to avoid as much as you can placing that second tick for an actor because you don't want them to put you on a third one in which you're going to get stuck. And even if I have a skip, they may know a connection that goes even further deeper into a realm that I don't know. So you have to be a little bit careful without playing with escape. So, anyways, that is the end of the first video. This was a long one. We'll probably go through increments of 100 till we get up to 2,000. But I hope you enjoyed it. I'll send you off with various movie quotes here. The first one I thought was, hasta la vista, baby.